The quantum slip space drive of the Zarkon exploration vessel hummed with a soft, rhythmic pulse as it emerged near the solar system's outer boundary. Captain Zelric studied the holographic display, his three-finger hand tracing the projected path through an unremarkable star system. Countless missions had taught him that most planetary systems were disappointingly uniform, resource-rich worlds waiting to be cataloged, colonized, or conquered. This system appeared typical at first glance: a yellow star, 8 planets, multiple asteroid belts, and one particularly intriguing blue-green world nestled in the habitable zone. Standard protocol demanded a comprehensive scan before any approach. The ship's advanced sensors began their methodical sweep, collecting data streams that would be analyzed by the most sophisticated computational networks in the Zarkon Empire. Lieutenant Vexena, the ship's primary data analyst, frowned at the incoming information. "Captain, these readings are unusual," she said, her translation implant converting her native clicking language into smooth standard galactic communication. "The planetary network shows an unprecedented level of electromagnetic activity." Zelrix leaned forward, his membranous eyelids blinking with curiosity. Most pre-contact civilizations showed minimal technological signatures, primitive radio waves, basic satellite networks, perhaps early attempts at planetary communication. This world seemed to vibrate with a different energy entirely. The first comprehensive data packet nearly overwhelmed the ship's filtering systems. Billions of simultaneous communication streams, a complex web of digital interactions that defied traditional classification. Images, videos, messages, an endless torrent of human communication that seemed to lack any central organization yet demonstrated remarkable complexity. "Analyze the primary communication channels," Zelrix commanded, his voice betraying a mix of professional detachment and growing intrigue. Vexena's specialized neural interface connected directly to the ship's computational core. Streams of data began to resolve into comprehensible patterns. What emerged was not the expected primitive communication of a young species, but a global network of unprecedented sophistication and apparent chaos. A video caught their attention. A small furry creature, later identified as a cat, appeared to be playing a musical instrument. Inexplicably, this video had been viewed millions of times across the planet. The Zarkon crew exchanged bewildered glances. What possible strategic or scientific value could such a transmission have? Further analysis revealed layers of complexity that challenged everything in the Imperial database. These humans communicated through multiple simultaneous channels: visual, textual, audio, with a level of nuance that seemed to defy traditional communication theory. Jokes, emotional expressions, scientific discussions, and personal narratives intertwined in a constantly shifting tapestry of information. The planetary scan revealed additional surprises. Despite appearing technologically modest by galactic standards, the world possessed a global communication infrastructure that was both decentralized and incredibly robust. Satellites, underwater cables, wireless networks, a communication system that seemed to have evolved like a living organism. Preliminary assessment, Vexena reported, suggests a species with technological capabilities far more complex than initial projections. Their communication networks demonstrate adaptive capabilities that rival our most advanced quantum mesh systems. Captain Zelrix knew what came next. The Zarkon Empire had a standard protocol for newly discovered civilizations. A carefully crafted ultimatum would be transmitted, a diplomatic formality that had preceded countless planetary submissions throughout the Empire's history. The message was prepared with the Empire's typical bureaucratic precision. It outlined the inevitable nature of Zarkon expansion, the futility of resistance, and the generous terms of submission. Standard procedure dictated that most species would respond with fear, submission, or silent terror. What happened next would become a pivotal moment in galactic history. The human response arrived with shocking speed. It was not a diplomatic communication. It was not a declaration of war. Instead, A global network of humans seemed to collectively transform the Imperial ultimatum into something entirely unexpected, a moment of shared humor that would echo through the galaxy. Little did the Zarkon know that their invasion had just become humanity's latest global insight joke. The first wave of Zarkon strike vessels approached Earth with the confidence of 1,000 conquered worlds. Admiral Kreltak studied the tactical display, his tentacular appendages moving with practiced precision. Holographic projections showed the standard invasion pattern, a simultaneous multi-vector attack designed to overwhelm any potential planetary defense systems. "Commence primary assault sequence," he commanded, his voice resonating through the ship's communication network. 50 massive warships dropped out of quantum slipspace, their energy signatures designed to intimidate and suppress. Each vessel carried weaponry that had reduced countless civilizations to subservient colonies. Quantum disruptors, gravimetric compression cannons, and molecular destabilization arrays, technologies that had crushed resistance across multiple star systems. What happened next defied every strategic projection in the Zarkon military database. The first wave of attack met an invisible barrier, not of traditional energy shielding, but a complex network of quantum-entangled defensive systems. Satellite networks that seemed impossibly responsive began redirecting incoming energy weapons. Computational systems predicted attack vectors with such precision that the Zarkon weapons appeared to neutralize themselves. Lieutenant Commander Zora Chen watched from a monitoring station beneath Colorado. Her team represented a unique blend of scientific and military personnel, individuals who had spent years preparing for scenarios that most considered impossible. Quantum physicists worked alongside network engineers, their screens alive with complex algorithmic responses. "Quantum defense grid is holding," she reported, her voice calm despite the unprecedented nature of the engagement. "Adaptive learning protocols are now actively mapping alien weapon signatures." The human response was anything but conventional warfare. Military communication channels burst with a mixture of technical precision and unexpected humor. Soldiers live-streamed the defensive preparations, complete with real-time commentary that oscillated between tactical analysis and sardonic observations. One particular communication channel became a global phenomenon. A group of network engineers began documenting the alien attack in real time, breaking down the technological attempts with the same enthusiasm as a sports commentary. "And there goes another quantum disruption, completely nullified by our predictive algorithms," one commentator announced, as if describing a particularly impressive athletic play. The Zarkon strike fleet found itself in an impossible situation. Their most advanced weapons seemed to dissipate before reaching their targets. Computational systems designed to predict planetary defenses returned nonsensical data. It was as if the entire planet had become a living, adaptive defense mechanism. Admiral Kreltak struggled to comprehend the unfolding scenario. "Redirect all secondary weapon systems," he commanded, his voice rising with mounting frustration. "Initiate quantum resonance protocol." The response was instantaneous and unexpected. As the Zarkon vessels attempted to recalibrate their attack, the human defensive systems began to do something truly remarkable. They didn't just defend, they started to learn. Each attempted alien attack was quickly analyzed, its energy signature mapped, and a corresponding defensive algorithm developed within minutes. What should have been a straightforward invasion had become a complex dance of technological adaptation. "We're basically playing technological jazz with an alien invasion force," one network engineer commented during a live-streamed briefing. "They play a note, we improvise a response." Global communication networks transformed the invasion into a collective experience. Social media platforms erupted with memes, real-time analysis, and a level of calm that seemed incomprehensible to the Zarkon. Instead of panic, humans displayed a mixture of scientific curiosity and national pride. Research facilities around the world began collecting and analyzing the alien technology in real time. Universities set up emergency interdisciplinary teams. Computational centers worked in near-perfect synchronization, treating the invasion as a complex scientific problem to be solved. By the end of the first 12 hours, the Zarkon strike fleet had not only failed to make significant progress, they had become completely neutralized by a planetary defense system that seemed to think and breathe like a living organism. Admiral Kreltak stared at the tactical display in total disbelief. Humanity had not just defended itself. It had turned an alien invasion into something resembling an elaborate planet-wide debugging session. Little did he know, this was only the beginning. Deep within the Zarkon Central Communication Hub, analysis teams worked frantically to understand humanity. The standard protocols for species assessment had completely fallen apart. Every attempt to categorize human communication resulted in more confusion, more complexity. Chief Analyst Vexra stared at the communication streams, her neural interfaces struggling to process the incoming data. What should have been a simple information analysis had become a psychological labyrinth. Humans communicated through layers of meaning that defied traditional linguistic algorithms. A simple video of a small creature called a cat playing a musical instrument had been viewed millions of times. The analyst's initial hypothesis that this was some form of primitive entertainment quickly unraveled. Each subsequent analysis revealed deeper levels of cultural complexity. The communication networks unleashed a torrential wave of content that completely overwhelmed the Zarkon systems. Memes became complex philosophical statements. Cooking shows transformed into intricate social commentaries. Short-form videos contained more nuanced information than entire academic treatises in the Imperial archives. "We're detecting multiple communication layers," reported junior analyst Crone, his voice trembling. Each transmission contains simultaneous levels of literal and metaphorical communication. It's like they're speaking multiple languages at once. The human internet proved to be a weapon more potent than any physical armament. Global communication networks operated with a level of adaptability that mimicked living organisms. Content could spread, mutate, and transform with impossible speed. A single image could carry multiple meanings, shift cultural contexts, and communicate complex emotional states in ways the Zarkon computational systems could not comprehend. Cultural analysis teams began to develop stress-induced medical conditions. Their sophisticated translation algorithms collapsed under the weight of human communication complexity. Sarcasm, irony, and multilayered humor created computational dead zones that their systems could not navigate. One particularly challenging discovery involved something called internet humor. What appeared to be nonsensical image and text combinations carried deep cultural significance. A simple image of a bread-based food item could represent complex emotional states, social critiques, or philosophical observations. The Zarkon had encountered numerous civilizations throughout their galactic expansion. Some were primitive, others technologically advanced, but humanity presented a completely unprecedented communication model. Their ability to communicate simultaneously on multiple levels, emotional, intellectual, cultural, defied all existing analytical frameworks. Global communication platforms became a form of collective intelligence. Millions of humans could collaborate, create, and respond to challenges with unprecedented speed. What looked like chaos to the Zarkon was actually a sophisticated, distributed problem-solving network. Research teams attempted to develop comprehensive models to understand human communication. Each model failed more spectacularly than the last. Human cultural exchanges contained levels of nuance that seemed to actively resist systematic categorization. It's like they're intentionally making communication complex, one frustrated analyst noted. Every time we think we understand a pattern, they introduce another layer of meaning. Social media platforms became particularly challenging. A single image could carry multiple interpretations, shift meaning based on context, and communicate complex emotional states in ways that seemed to deliberately challenge traditional communication theory. The most alarming discovery was humanity's ability to transform potential conflict into humor. The alien invasion, which should have been a moment of terror, became a global comedic event. Millions of humans created content that simultaneously mocked the invasion, analyzed its technological aspects, and used it as a platform for creative expression. Viral videos showed humans treating the alien threat as an elaborate joke. Comedy shows produced real-time commentary. Scientific institutions launched collaborative research projects. The entire planet seemed to respond to a potential existential threat with a combination of curiosity, humor, and collaborative problem-solving. Chief Analyst Vexera made a recommendation that would be remembered as a turning point in galactic history. "We cannot understand them through traditional analysis," she reported to Imperial leadership. "Humanity represents a communication model so complex, so adaptive, that our existing frameworks are inadequate." The Zarkan Empire had encountered many civilizations, but humanity was something entirely different, a species that could transform potential destruction into a global creative experience. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of their confusion. The Global Research Consortium emerged from an unprecedented collaboration of scientific minds. Universities, private research labs, and government facilities worked with a synchronicity that defied traditional scientific boundaries. Their target: understanding and responding to the alien technological threat. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a holographic display, her team representing a cross-section of global scientific expertise. Quantum physicists worked alongside materials engineers, computer scientists collaborated with xenobiologists, and aerospace designers shared insights with communication specialists. "We're not just defending," she explained to the assembled researchers. "We're going to turn their technology into an opportunity for understanding." The first breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A research team analyzing the alien weapon signatures discovered something remarkable. The Zarkan technological systems, while advanced, followed predictable computational patterns. Humans, by contrast, approached problem-solving with a unique blend of creativity and scientific rigor. They began developing devices that appeared deceptively simple. To Zarkan technological experts, these inventions seemed primitive. In reality, each device embedded complex quantum principles and information theory that pushed the boundaries of current scientific understanding. One particular project focused on what the team called a universal translation matrix. It looked like a small, unremarkable device, a metallic cube no larger than a standard communication module. But its internal structure represented a breakthrough in computational linguistics and quantum information processing. The device did more than translate languages. It could analyze communication patterns, understand contextual nuances, and adapt its own computational framework in real time. What appeared to be a simple translation tool was actually a sophisticated memetic algorithm designed to deconstruct and understand alien communication infrastructures. Engineering teams worked with a combination of serious scientific innovation and a playful approach that left technological experts bewildered. They treated the alien invasion as a complex puzzle, an opportunity for scientific exploration rather than a threat. Global hackathons emerged spontaneously. Research facilities opened collaborative platforms where scientists and enthusiasts could contribute to the collective understanding of alien technology. What looked like chaos to external observers was actually a highly sophisticated distributed research network. The quantum translation matrix became a symbol of human innovative capacity. Its internal structure used quantum entanglement in ways that defied conventional technological understanding. Information could be processed, translated, and transformed simultaneously across multiple computational states. "We're essentially creating a technology that thinks like a living language," one lead researcher noted during a global broadcast. "It's not just translating, it's understanding, adapting, evolving." Military research facilities worked in parallel, developing defensive technologies that went beyond traditional weapon systems. They created adaptive networks that could predict and neutralize technological threats before they fully materialized. Each alien attack became an opportunity to improve human defensive capabilities. The most surprising aspect was the collaborative nature of the research. Traditional barriers of national security dissolved in the face of a global challenge. Scientists from competing nations shared insights with unprecedented openness. Research facilities in different continents worked as if they were a single global laboratory. Quantum computing teams developed algorithms that could analyze alien technological signatures in real time. They created computational models that could predict potential technological threats with remarkable accuracy. What should have been a moment of planetary fear became an unprecedented scientific renaissance. The Zarkan technological monitoring systems began to detect something unprecedented. Human research facilities were not just defending. They were actively learning, adapting, and transforming the very technological paradigms of conflict. A simple translation device became a gateway to understanding fundamental principles of communication, computation, and interspecies interaction. The line between defense and scientific exploration became beautifully blurred. Dr. Rodriguez looked at her team, a smile playing on her lips. "We're not just responding to an invasion," she said. "We're having a conversation with the universe." Little did the Zarkan know that each technological probe was teaching humanity something profound about the nature of communication, innovation, and collective problem-solving. The global financial centers buzzed with an energy that transcended traditional economic strategies. What the Zarkan perceived as a simple planetary economy was actually a complex, adaptive system that defied conventional understanding. In the central trading hub of the International Economic Coordination Center, a diverse team of economists, data scientists, and strategic analysts gathered. They viewed the alien invasion not as a military challenge, but as the most intricate economic puzzle in human history. Dr. Michael Chen, lead economic strategist, outlined the initial approach. "We're going to make their invasion economically impossible," he explained to the assembled team. The strategy was both simple and incredibly complex, turned the very concept of invasion into a financial liability for the Zarkan Empire. Cryptocurrency networks became the first line of defense. Advanced algorithms began to track and analyze the economic signatures of the alien invasion force. What appeared to be random financial transactions were actually sophisticated information-gathering mechanisms designed to understand the Zarkan economic infrastructure. The team discovered something remarkable. The alien empire's economic system was surprisingly rigid. Centuries of successful conquests had created a bureaucratic economic model that relied on predictable expansion and resource extraction. Humans, by contrast, had developed an economic system that thrived on unpredictability and rapid adaptation. Global financial institutions began a coordinated economic response. Cryptocurrency traders developed algorithms that could destabilize alien economic tracking systems. Investment platforms created complex financial instruments that seemed to defy traditional economic logic. Trading networks transformed into a global defensive mechanism. Each financial transaction became a potential source of intelligence, a way to map and understand the economic vulnerabilities of the alien invasion force. What looked like normal market activity was actually a sophisticated form of economic warfare. The most ingenious approach came from a collaborative team of economists and computer scientists. They developed what they called adaptive economic warfare protocols. These were financial algorithms designed to create economic uncertainty, redirect resource flows, and systematically destabilize the Zarkan economic infrastructure. Cryptocurrency markets became battlegrounds of information and economic strategy. Trading platforms developed real-time adaptive algorithms that could respond to alien economic probes with unprecedented speed and complexity. Each financial transaction carried layers of potential meaning, intelligence, and strategic response. Global investment networks began to treat the invasion as a collective challenge. Investment firms from different continents collaborated in ways that would have been impossible just weeks earlier. National economic boundaries dissolved in the face of a collective planetary challenge. The Zarkan economic monitoring systems began to detect something unprecedented. Human economic activity didn't follow any known galactic economic model. Transactions appeared and disappeared, values shifted in ways that defy traditional economic understanding, and entire economic sectors seemed to reorganize with impossible speed. Research teams discovered that the human economic system was more than just a method of exchange. It was a living, adaptive network that could reconfigure itself in response to external challenges. Each alien economic probe was met with a response that was simultaneously defensive, offensive, and educational. Cryptocurrency traders developed algorithms that could create economic mirages, false economic signals that would lead alien economic analysts down complex investigative dead ends. What appeared to be valuable economic targets would suddenly dissolve, reshape, or reveal themselves as elaborate information-gathering mechanisms. The most surprising aspect was the global nature of the response. Economic systems that were traditionally competitive now worked with unprecedented cooperation. Investment firms shared intelligence, cryptocurrency networks developed collective defensive strategies, and global financial institutions collaborated as if they were a single planetary economic organism. Dr. Chen looked at the complex holographic displays showing global economic activity. "We're not just defending," he said to his team. "We're having an economic conversation with an entire alien civilization." The Zarkan Empire had conquered countless worlds through economic manipulation. They were about to learn that humanity played by entirely different rules. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of their economic nightmare. The Galactic Diplomatic Council chamber fell silent as the human delegation entered. What was meant to be a standard hearing about planetary submission had transformed into something entirely unprecedented. Delegates from across the galaxy watched with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. The Zarkan Empire had called this emergency session, expecting to formalize humanity's subjugation. Instead, they would receive a presentation that would reshape galactic diplomatic understanding. The human delegation was unlike any diplomatic team in galactic history. Scientists stood alongside cultural experts, communication specialists worked with legal scholars, and each member brought a unique perspective that defied traditional diplomatic protocols. Lead diplomat Dr. Sarah Rodriguez approached the central podium. Her presentation began not with arguments or defenses, but with a comprehensive analysis of communication, technological adaptation, and cultural complexity. "We're here to have a conversation," she began, her voice calm and precise. The translation systems struggled to capture the multiple layers of meaning in her words. What appeared to be a simple statement contained depths of diplomatic nuance that left the alien delegates bewildered. The holographic display behind her came to life. It wasn't a traditional diplomatic presentation. Instead, it was a living, breathing visualization of human communication, technological innovation, and collaborative problem-solving. Streams of data danced alongside cultural artifacts, scientific discoveries intertwined with moments of human creativity. The Zarkan diplomatic team had prepared for multiple scenarios: submission, resistance, potential conflict. What they encountered was something entirely different, a comprehensive deconstruction of their own imperial assumptions. Dr. Rodriguez systematically dismantled the Zarkan claims of superiority. Each point was supported by layers of evidence that went beyond traditional diplomatic discourse. Scientific discoveries, economic analyses, communication studies, all woven together into a tapestry of human capability. The most shocking aspect was the presentation's tone. It wasn't confrontational. It wasn't defensive. It was an invitation to understanding, a comprehensive exploration of what it meant to be a spacefaring civilization. Global communication networks broadcast the hearing live. Millions of humans watched, participated, and contributed to a collective diplomatic experience. Social media platforms became extensions of the diplomatic process with real-time analysis, cultural commentary, and collaborative interpretation. Diplomatic protocols from across the galaxy began to break down. The Zarkon had called this hearing to assert dominance. Instead, they found themselves participants in a global conversation about communication, cooperation, and collective problem-solving. The presentation revealed something profound about human civilization. Their approach to challenges was not about conquest or submission, but about understanding, adaptation, and collaborative growth. Cultural experts demonstrated how human communication contained layers of meaning that defy traditional diplomatic understanding. A single phrase could carry multiple interpretations, a joke could be a complex philosophical statement, and humor could be a sophisticated form of diplomatic negotiation. The holographic display showed moments of human creativity, scientific discovery, and cultural complexity. Alien delegates found themselves captivated by videos of human art, scientific breakthroughs, moments of collective compassion, and unexpected problem-solving. As the presentation concluded, the chamber was filled with a profound silence. The Zarkon diplomatic team had expected to formalize a planetary conquest. Instead, they had witnessed a comprehensive deconstruction of their own imperial assumptions. Dr. Rodriguez's final statement echoed through the chamber. "We're not asking for permission to exist," she said. "We're inviting you to understand what that existence means." The diplomatic hearing had become something else entirely, a first step toward a new understanding of interstellar communication and cooperation. Little did the alien delegates know, this was just the beginning of humanity's diplomatic conversation with the galaxy. The aftermath of the diplomatic hearing sent shockwaves through the galactic political landscape. What began as a potential invasion had transformed into a comprehensive examination of imperial systems of governance, expansion, and cultural interaction. Historians aboard Zarkon research vessels began a critical review of the Empire's expansion history. Each previous conquest was re-examined through a new lens, one that humanity had unexpectedly provided. The Imperial archives revealed a pattern of systematic resource extraction, cultural suppression, and technological stagnation. Conquered civilizations that had remained silent for generations began to find their voices. Communication networks that the Zarkon believed were fully controlled suddenly burst with renewed energy. Humanity had not just resisted invasion, they had provided a blueprint for resistance and self-determination. Research teams discovered something profound. The Zarkon Empire's long-standing approach to galactic expansion was fundamentally flawed. Centuries of conquests had created a bureaucratic system that valued control over innovation, submission over collaboration. On multiple planetary systems, subjected civilizations began to reassess their situation. The human diplomatic presentation had done more than challenge the Zarkon Empire. It had provided a comprehensive framework for understanding resistance, cultural preservation, and collective growth. The most unexpected transformation occurred within the Zarkon internal political structure. Junior administrators, scientists, and lower-ranking officials began to question the fundamental assumptions of imperial expansion. Debates erupted in research facilities, administrative centers, and communication networks. A group of Zarkon researchers began a comprehensive study of human communication, technological innovation, and social structures. What they discovered challenged everything they understood about civilizational development. Humanity demonstrated a level of adaptive capacity that seemed almost impossible. The collaborative nature of human problem-solving became a subject of intense study. How could a species develop such complex, adaptive systems? Their economic models, communication networks, and approach to collective challenges defied traditional galactic understanding. Diplomatic channels that had been silent for generations began to open. Previously conquered civilizations started sharing information, comparing experiences, and developing new forms of collective resistance. The Zarkon found themselves at the center of a rapidly changing galactic political landscape. Scientific research facilities across multiple planetary systems began to collaborate in ways that mirrored human communication models. Open-source research platforms, collaborative problem-solving networks, and interdisciplinary approach became the new standard of galactic scientific exploration. The Imperial leadership found themselves in an unprecedented situation. Their attempt to conquer a single planet had revealed fundamental weaknesses in their entire systemic approach to galactic expansion. Each layer of investigation revealed more complex challenges to their existing political and social structures. Economic analysts discovered that the resources spent on conquest could be more effectively used in collaborative development. The human model of innovation, with its emphasis on creativity and adaptive problem-solving, presented a radical alternative to imperial expansion. Cultural research teams began to document the human approach to challenges. It wasn't about military might or resource extraction. It was about understanding, adaptation, and collective growth. Each study revealed layers of complexity that challenge fundamental galactic assumptions about civilizational development. The most profound transformation occurred in the understanding of communication itself. Humanity had demonstrated that communication was not just an exchange of information, but a complex, adaptive system of collective problem-solving. Zarkan political theorists found themselves rewriting fundamental texts about galactic civilization. The human encounter had become a pivotal moment, a comprehensive challenge to centuries of imperial assumptions about expansion, communication, and cultural interaction. As the imperial systems began to crumble, something unexpected emerged, not a violent collapse, but a gradual transformation. The rigid imperial structure began to reshape itself, influenced by the unexpected lessons learned from a single planetary encounter. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of a galactic renaissance. The dissolution of the Zarkan Empire did not come through violent conflict, but through a profound transformation of understanding. Galactic communication networks buzzed with the unprecedented story of how a single planetary civilization had reshaped the fundamental principles of interstellar interaction. Research facilities across multiple star systems began documenting the human encounter. It became more than a historical event. It was a comprehensive case study of adaptive civilization development. Universities, diplomatic institutes, and scientific academies treated the human response as a pivotal moment in galactic communication theory. The final diplomatic session became legendary. Representatives from previously conquered civilizations gathered alongside human diplomats, creating a coalition that defied traditional galactic power structures. What began as a potential invasion had transformed into a collaborative exploration of collective potential. A symbolic data package was prepared, a comprehensive archive of human cultural, scientific, and philosophical achievements. It was not a weapon of conquest, but an invitation to understanding. The package contained everything from complex scientific discoveries to artistic expressions, from philosophical treatises to moments of collective human creativity. The most surprising aspect was the approach to resolution. Humanity did not seek retribution or territorial expansion. Instead, they proposed a radical model of galactic cooperation based on mutual understanding, collaborative problem-solving, and respect for cultural diversity. Diplomatic experts from multiple civilizations studied the human approach with intense fascination. Their model of interaction was not about dominance or submission, but about collective growth and understanding. Each layer of human communication revealed new depths of complexity and potential. Scientific research took unexpected directions. Collaborative platforms emerged that mimicked human communication networks. Open-source research became the new standard of galactic scientific exploration. The rigid hierarchical structures that had defined previous galactic interactions began to dissolve. Economic systems underwent a comprehensive transformation. The human approach demonstrated that resources could be used for collective development rather than extraction and conquest. Trade networks became platforms for cultural exchange, scientific collaboration, and mutual understanding. A new diplomatic framework emerged, one that valued adaptability over rigid control. Civilizations began to see themselves not as isolated entities, but as part of a complex, interconnected galactic ecosystem. The human encounter had provided a blueprint for a different approach to interstellar interaction. The symbolic final session included a unique diplomatic gesture. The human delegation presented a commemorative data crystal to the assembled galactic representatives. It contained a simple message that would become legendary. In the vast complexity of the universe, understanding is the greatest discovery. Cultural exchange programs began to proliferate. Species that had been isolated for generations now found themselves part of a growing network of mutual understanding. The rigid boundaries that had defined previous galactic interactions began to blur. Technological innovation took on new forms. Collaborative research platforms allowed civilizations to share discoveries, solve complex problems, and explore the universe together. The human approach to innovation, open, adaptive, and collaborative, became the new standard of scientific exploration. The most profound transformation occurred in the understanding of communication itself. Humanity had demonstrated that communication was not just an exchange of information, but a complex, adaptive system of collective problem-solving and cultural expression. Galactic historians would later describe this moment as the beginning of a new era. The rigid imperial structures that had defined previous galactic interactions were replaced by a more fluid, adaptive approach to interstellar cooperation. The final diplomatic document captured the essence of this transformation. It was not a treaty of submission or conquest, but an invitation to collective growth. Each civilization would contribute its unique perspective to a broader galactic understanding. As the first collaborative galactic council concluded, something extraordinary had become clear. What began as a potential invasion had transformed into humanity's greatest diplomatic achievement, a comprehensive reimagining of interstellar interaction. The universe had discovered something profound. True exploration was not about conquest, but about understanding.